everyone, welcome to Squirrel Brain Stories. Just a little reminder right here at the beginning, we're going to be talking about heavy topics. Please make sure to take care of yourself, reach out to a friend if this triggers something in you. Make sure you drink your water, take your meds, and just maybe if you're not in a good place, today is not the day for this, come back to us later.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Squirrel Brain Stories. I'm Angela. I'm here with my co-host, Adria. I am here with my fellow survivor, Niko. He just finished giving his testimony and side of his life story in the cult just last week. So thank you, Niko. And today we have a new guest. He is my brother, and his name is Michael. He kind of had a different history in the cult than Niko and I did, because he kind of came and went a few times, and he also lived with them for a while in Hawaii. So it's kind of, I feel like it will give us a different perspective on life in the cult and, in the different locations it was physically located. And he lived in Hawaii with Niko as well at the same location. So they have some history there as well. So yeah, it's lots of investigative stuff going on. You guys have seen the database that I'm putting together with all of the data, cult members, locations, assets, all that fun data stuff to kind of draw a timeline and connect the dots. Because, when these investigations were going on with the Portland Police and the Clackamas County District and the Hawaii Police, they were all going on. They were all like isolated events, but no one ever pieced them together and realized that they were all part of the same cult, the same denomination. So that's what we're doing. We're piecing together the big picture, who was all involved, all of, the different crimes that were involved that are actually on the books and reported and prosecuted. And just a lot of the damage and aftermath that places like these cause and create, and the long-term effects that it has on its members, especially young children, and the abuses that are very rampant in these kind of living environments, communes, kind of church communes or whatever you want to call them. And, and just to also show the extent of the criminal enterprise, we had people come that are being brought up illegally from Mexico, and just all of the stuff. It's just the extent of everything is pretty crazy when you look at all of it and think about it.
That's for sure. I actually I love how detailed you are with the Excel document. Being an investigator, that's very my wheelhouse, I guess.
Yeah. I'm a data nerd, so I love data, and data is evidence. And so if we're able to demonstrate a data trail and collect all of the data and all of the statistics, we're going to create a path for people to see the full identity of, how extensive this cult was, the reach it had, and the damage it did, documented damage, and, to all of the victims that go unspoken, who were silenced or whose cases were dropped because of the move to Hawaii. They deserve to be acknowledged, and validated, because their lives were damaged just as well. I'm sure they haven't had easy lives lot of them still might not have realized what we were actually living in. I didn't realize what this all was until, after the divorce from my second husband. That's when I realized that I was like, this was actually a cult. It's pretty crazy.
And that's Michael, what about you? I know for Niko and Ange, it took them some time and distance from Memo and the whole situation to really realize, oh shit, I was in a cult for X amount of years. What do I do now? Was that the same for you, where you had to get some distance before you realized you had been in a cult, or did you always kind of know?
I the longer that it's been since I lived there, the more and more I realized that it was. But I was kind of seeing that it was controlling like a cult while I was still there, especially when I started sort of getting a foot out of the door when I got an external job instead of working within the cult slash ministry, if you want to call it that. I know when I got employment at the first TV station that I got employment at, all of a sudden I became the problem because I could no longer be controlled to the extent that Memo was able to uh, do his control patterns on me like he did with everyone else, except for the devoted ones that part of their job was to have external jobs. Me, I learned video production while I was in the cult. And
Wow.
I did two or three different. I did 2 half-hour shows, one in Spanish, one in English, and I did 1 hour show every week.
In Hawaii?
In Hawaii, yeah.
Okay.
So that sort of, I was thankful that I got involved in that, not just because of the experience of getting into the world of video production, producing, editing, shooting. I was thankful also because of the fact that it gave me a way out of the monotonous all day long Bible studies.
So that was still saying in Hawaii, the all day long Bible studies.
Yeah, we would start. It changed all the time. Sometimes, like when we would do Bible studies, morning studies, up at one of the churches, we would start at like 5:30 in the morning.
Oh my gosh!
And then we'd go until like 12 or 1, and then we would have a couple hours off. And
what would you do on your hours off?
Well, around that time, I was doing editing.
Okay. And then the other people?
Other people did chores or
so that's
whatever.
Still okay.
Everyone kind of had their own little things tasks that they had to do. I mean, there was free time during those times also, but it was really a thing of keeping everyone busy.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So same kind of MO.
Yeah, the same kind of MO.
Wow. So so there's some things that didn't change even after the move to Hawaii.
Yeah. I mean, it was a lot different from what I remember it being in Portland, but it was basically the same stuff with the monotonous studies. Uh, Sometimes we would have to study our Bibles from like, 6, 7, or 8 in the morning until 12 in the
Eh,
afternoon or 1. And then other times, Memo or someone else would do lead studies almost the whole entire time. And then we would have our short break, and then sometimes we'd come back at like 3 to 5. And then there'd be like a dinner break, short break, whatever break. And then we'd start up at like 7:30, and we'd go until 12 or 1 in the morning sometimes.
oh my gosh.
So definitely a
Yeah.
continuation of that. Keep
Yeah.
you isolated, keep you exhausted, keep you indoctrinated, and just keep you too spaced out to realize.
Fatigued.
Yeah.
That was what I
And
was
what
grateful for with during the video editing is, I could easily say, hey, I have a deadline coming up, so I need to go and get at it, or else we're not going to be able to submit programming.
and what would you eat? Because Niko kind of told us, how he, kind of figured out how to eat. But how do you remember eating? Because donations weren't really a thing when the Hawaii move happened, right?
We still had donations,
Oh, okay.
from
The church tea, and
the church down in Chinatown, at Ola Park, I believe.
Oh,
I can't.
yeah, they
Nico
do
probably.
like homeless dinners. Yeah.
Were
Yeah,
they
there
still
was.
using the same nonprofit front that they were using in Portland?
I don't think it was the
No,
same name.
no,
I know that the name changed a lot.
Yeah, I think I have like
I'm
6
sure it
names
did.
written down.
Yeah, actually, I had a question about this ex- Excel spreadsheet that you sent earlier today, because there are a couple of addresses on there that I don't really recognize.
Which
And
ones? In
um,
Hawaii or Washington?
I'm just gonna pull up the document one second.
Just
It's in
don't share it
Hawaii.
on the screen.
No, I'm I'm looking at my phone, so we're safe. Okay. Your email is right here. File. Okay. So it's configuring. But anyways, I think it was Mokaku Road.
Okay.
The only well, here's one to add for you too, and maybe I'll just send it in the chat. But it was the
Or you can add it onto the spreadsheet and send it back to me.
I'm wondering though, because I don't have a Microsoft subscription, whether or not it will
Okay.
actually let me edit it.
Okay, just write it in the chat then, and then I'll make a note of it.
Okay, I'll do that.
And I'll take a look because I looked those up, and he was on the house deed for all of those addresses. And actually, that house he just sold in 2017.
Probably made a shit ton of money.
Yeah, it was $2 million.
Of course it was.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, send it to me in the chat, Niko, and I'll note it down. Okay. So Michael, what was your first exposure to the cult? I'm guessing mom probably was the one that introduced you to it and brought you around for the first time.
My first exposure to the cult was, coming to check out where you were living at.
And that was before I got married, right?
Yeah,
Probably.
that was before
Yeah.
you got married.
Okay.
I can't remember if it was because I wanted to come and visit you. Probably that's what it was. But I think that she also wanted me to get involved as well, because in the beginning, it seemed like it was a good uh, church type atmosphere,
Yeah.
except it was a little off the wall type atmosphere. But
Yeah.
technically, the message, for the most part, was a good message.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at, the no homeschooling for the majority of the kids and,
I mean,
all of the other things.
yeah, it's just the it's the message in the scripture that it tricked everyone into
He
seeing
held
it as a positive thing.
Yeah, he held a lot of persuasion, didn't he?
Yeah. But it's also the message in the scripture that also put people in the mindset of fear and control patterns.
He knew how to use the scriptures to condemn you or to make you feel guilty. Like
you're being
he would
selfish.
He would use them to his will. To make us feel what he wanted us to feel at the moment. He had a scripture at the top of his head, at the drop of a hat, whenever he needed one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, not to mention that, I mean, he would do it so passive aggressively too, where he would like humiliate you without saying your name, but everybody knew it was you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he would throw in some like comment about something that you had done recently.
A very specific activity.
Yeah. And that always got me. Like I hated that so
I did
much.
too. It bothered me a lot because I felt like, if God died for all of us and loves all of us, then why are you not liking certain people? But then you're preaching on the streets, trying to get bums and homeless and drug dealers down off of Northwest Broadway to come home with us. But you treat your own people, say bad things about them in front of everyone. It just felt very hypocritical, even with the extent of what I use my own brain for. But even with the little I use my own brain, I always felt that was wrong and that shouldn't have been done.
I'm sorry, can I just make a side note here? And I apologize that I'm kind of steering off path at this moment, but just because you mentioned, bringing homeless people and whatnot, I remember one trip to Seattle we made. At the time, they didn't have the Seattle house yet. They were just renting an apartment in Ballard, I think the Ballard neighborhood. And we all went to like the pier to like proselytize, hand out tracts and preach at people.
Little papers.
Yeah. And this lady came up and just seemed like really interested. And so she came back to the apartment with us. And in the middle of the night, she snuck into the kitchen and grabbed a butcher knife and went in the bathroom and like was actively trying to stab herself in the heart. Like the knife was stuck inside of her, but she couldn't get past her rib cage.
Oh my gosh. That's really crazy. Was I there?
You may have been. I mean,
maybe I just didn't know.
It was hush hush. They didn't want anybody to know. And when they found out, everybody was like sleeping. So there were sleeping people all over the floor and the sofa,
Meanwhile, this lady's in the bathroom trying to slit her wrist. Some lady off the street.
Crazy.
Yeah.
The extent of danger that we were exposed to. like on a daily basis, all of the weird people, all of the criminals, the people that we didn't even know who they were. We didn't even know their names. They'd come home and spend the night with us.
Yeah.
Well, when you
Do
think
you,
about it, you're already surrounded by people who have no regard for your safety or well-being. They couldn't give
yeah.
two shits what a stranger does to you because of what they're already doing to you.
Yeah, exactly. That is a good point.
It, you
They
know?
just
That
cared
just
about the
reminds me,
message.
Well, no, the
you
money
know,
coming in.
the
It
money.
I
Yeah,
don't think it
yeah.
was ever about the message. It was about the money.
Well, the
It was
more that
about the
he
money and the
grew,
control.
yeah, it was about the money, and the more he grew, his followers would equal more money.
Well, and also an ego boost. It's
Yeah,
another pawn on the board to control.
yeah,
Another person that will give up their belongings and move their kids into, a 5-bedroom house and be separated from them all day. One
yeah,
more person that will bend to his will. It sounds like
yeah.
that's all he wanted.
And it's like what I said a lot. I posted on this post on Facebook a long time ago, not a long time ago, but a few months ago. And I said, we were his marketing strategy. The example that we led of how we obeyed every single thing that he demanded, the way we were, followers to the death. We were his marketing campaign. Our example is what convinced other people too to come along because, just it's believable, if you have these people so brainwashed and following like that, like how could other people, you know, I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
for
on
sure.
that note, I want to try and figure out, Michael, how you even got there. When Ange and I talked about you very briefly in the first few episodes, I don't know if you listened to them.
Hmm.
The impression that I got was that you were with your dad the majority of the time, not with your guy's mom.
I
So,
lived
can
with
you
my
tell us?
good.
Oh,
Sorry.
I was just gonna ask, can you tell us about how that shifted and she got so much custody of you that you ended up right in this cult that Angela had been fighting to find a way to get the fuck away from?
Well, ever since my mom and my uncle uh, came and grabbed us, Angela and I, from the babysitter's house and took us to California.
Kidnapped
Uh,
us.
yeah, kidnapped us.
That was our uncle.
Yeah,
Oh, I thought it was a boyfriend of hers.
maybe it was. I thought it was her uncle. I can't remember. I
It's
was
okay.
young, Angela.
I
We were
know.
both
I
young.
know.
But
Very long.
after that, uh, mom got custody of you because my dad isn't your dad,
Yeah.
and dad got full custody of me, and except with the exception of every other weekend, I could go and stay with mom and
Okay.
you. But there was times where I never saw you guys
For
for
years.
months
Oh.
uh, because of whatever circumstances that
Oh
made it
no.
to be that way. But so I was staying with my dad, and when I got old enough to decide where I wanted to stay, I decided that I wanted to go and live with mom. Uh, because I was old enough at that point,
Mm-hmm.
15, 14 or 15, whatever it is, 13. I can't remember what age it was. I think it was like eighth grade, between
Okay.
seventh and eighth grade. I moved in with mom, and that's when I started getting more involved, more frequently involved uh, with hanging out and getting to know everyone within the cult.
Yeah.
I came really close to Niko, his dad, Mark, um, and David, Cassie, Lisa, Grandma Rose. I, everyone was really nice. And, when you're that young, it's kind of seems kind of fun because there's always something going on. I'd go on the food runs, get laying on top of all the bread and the pastries in the back of the van.
Oh my gosh. Smashing everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, because we would get whole entire van full of
Yeah.
food. Like all the way up to the top.
Full.
Like the old
Yeah.
creeper vans, like the creeper van.
The free candy vans.
Yeah. Free candy, free puppies.
Oh, I just thought of a few things here. Because Mike, you and I spent a lot of time together in Portland, and I remember at some point, like one of your cousins was there too. I don't remember his name. Oh, Travis? I think it might have been Travis. Yeah.
Yeah. He would come by at times. I do remember that.
Yeah, we had a few cousins that would come by. Teresa would come by too.
Yeah. I don't know how long Travis was coming by or Teresa. I think Travis was coming by more than Teresa was.
Yeah.
Well, I remember us running around that neighborhood, around the Peach House and the King's House.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, Michael, when you really started going, you said between 7th and 8th grade, and were you already gone? Did you guys like miss each other, or was there a point where you guys were there together?
We were there together for a while, right?
I wasn't actually staying there. I would stay the nights.
Yeah.
Like, during like summertime or the weekends when I didn't have school. Or during like Christmas breaks or whatever kind of breaks, I would hang out more often.
But we would never be involved with anything together with each other.
Yeah. I always liked coming and hanging out with you, so I would come and hang out.
Mike,
see the kids.
How long was it after your car accident that you did move in? Because I feel like you moved in or I don't know, because I remember you going to Hawaii.
Yeah, so going back to that, before my car accident, there was kind of the falling out a little bit that happened between within the cult, where half of the group split up. I don't remember what the problem was.
You don't remember what it was about?
This is nobody can fully remember.
Well,
Angela remembers.
I was told by someone, because I actually saw the meeting happening. All of the main leaders were there. So Mark, David, Micah, Primo, Felipe, Billy.
It was something
big.
It was something really bad.
And what one of the gals, the older ladies, older sisters, told me that they were meeting with Memo, all of the leadership, because Memo was caught seen coming out of the bathroom with one of the girls.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure it was Billy that caught him.
That seems about right, because I remember it was pretty bad. After that, I kind of sort of went into a dark stage, because I was actually really getting into it. I wanted, I wanted to serve God, You know, I had that brother Marcos really played a big part in that because I would hang out with him a lot when he'd be doing uh, the printing press work to print out the tracks and stuff.
Yes. Do you have any old copies of those? That would be so awesome to have an old copy of one of those tracks that we would hand out on the streets.
There's
Repent
a
or
ton
go
of
to
those.
hell.
I have an old copy of one of Marcus's poems.
Oh,
Rushing People.
interesting.
It was like a two-sided poem.
Huh.
You remember that, Niko?
Honestly, I don't recall. I mean, he wrote a bunch of stuff that I didn't.
Rushing People
Yeah,
to
right.
It starts out with rushing people to and fro. Do you care or wish to know where it is you're going?
Okay.
And it goes on from there. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But after the split up, you know, the two houses or three houses, after the split up, I think it was the Blue House, they kind of went their own way.
With Primo.
With Primo.
And Felipe.
And then pretty quickly after that, Memo gathered everyone up and bounced out to Hawaii. And
sorry.
Go ahead.
I just recalled something. I don't remember his last name, but Curtis. Apparently, do you remember Curtis? He was like that. He was like half Samoan, half white, or something like that. And his family was Mormon. And he was from Hawaii. Like
I vaguely remember.
Yeah, well, apparently he facilitated like paying for the shipping container and buying tickets for the people that needed to fly over.
Oh, he probably had connections because, you know, his
family is Mormon and rich, so.
Well, in Hawaii, if you have an uncle or an auntie or brother or a cousin that works for one of the unions, shipping unions, then you can probably get better deals that way. I know that's a big way that people get into those types of jobs. Like at Madsen or whatever, the stevedores or whatever they're called.
Do you remember when you guys left for Hawaii? Around like what year, or if you remember a month?
1999.
Okay.
Because it was before the new year. I think it had just started getting cold, so maybe like October.
Okay.
I think it was before 99. I think it might have been 98.
No, it was 99 because just a few months later.
Let me see. His first year. Let me I can first house, second house, third house, fourth house. Okay, so his fifth house was bought in December of 1998.
Yeah, because
that's the first Hawaii house.
Yeah, they had spent the year before, like taking trips to Hawaii. My dad and Memo and maybe Luis, and they were scouting the area for houses. And then they bought one in the end of 98, and 99 is when so maybe it was like early 99. It was still cold, winter, whatever. So when vividly it being cold.
So when you guys got to Hawaii, you went first to that straight house, or went straight to that first house?
The Canela house? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And yeah. Oh, well, never mind. Sorry. I'm My little squirrels are running all over the place.
So,
Michael,
Michael. Oh yeah, go ahead.
oh no, I was gonna say I'm a little bit stuck on something you said earlier, that it felt different in Hawaii than it did in Portland. And I'm wondering, do you think that's because in Portland you didn't live there yet? So I guess what I'm wondering is, did you guys notice a marked difference between the sermons that had outside people attending and the ones that were just for the people that lived there? Was there like a marked difference between the two? Because I can't imagine he would be as horrible as he is to everyone in front of people he's trying to draw in permanently.
No, that's about the same preaching wise.
Yeah.
Oh.
He just wouldn't call people out as much until the people got used to the message and to the vibe in the
That
cult
okay.
or the
That
ministry
makes
cult,
sense.
whatever.
Slowly revealed the face.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yep.
that's what I was wondering. I was
Slowly,
wondering.
lowered the veil.
Nick,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Call it that.
Michael, did you ever hear Memo use his Multnomah Bible College credentials as for credibility?
Oh, all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah, that
wanted
was
to, make a clear path with multiple people saying the same thing.
I think that was part of the reason how we got into some of the churches. I don't want to name the churches, but
oh well, I was going to. I think I did on a previous episode, but
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
named a couple.
they weren't really in. Their involvement ended at church,
Yeah.
and usually none of them were there while we were because we used their sanctuary or whatever it's called,
for the
and set
Spanish
up our own
service.
equipment for the Spanish service. Yeah. Well, also when he was, well, okay, am I not naming them, or can I just do it since I already did?
We
Hope
can bleep it if
Chapel.
we have to.
I mean, as far as I know, there was no like uncool stuff
HCKB.
happening. What?
It was HCKB.
Okay, okay. Well, what about the WBC?
Oh yeah, and WBC.
Yeah, that was a big one too. Because that was like a beach service. So
Yeah.
every Sunday we had to like unload this ungodly ass trailer that
Mhm.
was packed to the brim with like speakers and sound equipment, microphones, and little holomats for people to sit on.
And all the camera gear.
Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
that was such hard work. No wonder
Yeah.
my dad had skin cancer, man. He was out there in that sun. I'm probably gonna have skin cancer, come to think of
We
it.
would
And you definitely will, Michael. Do you remember that time you worked on the roof for like
at
8
the Canela
hours
House.
straight without? Yes, and then my dumbass came and like whacked your like she
Oh
got huge
no.
blisters.
I had blisters like that tall all the way
Oh
across my back
no.
shoulders.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's horrible.
I had to go to the hospital and get the silver cream.
I
Uh,
was so embarrassed and
He
mortified.
totally forgot
Like
about
that.
it. He was like, "How's it going, Mike?"
Out of
oh
sight, out
no.
of mind. He had a shirt on. So, I mean, oh, yeah, that was embarrassing. Really quick though, because another squirrel. Do you either of you remember the name of that guy that was like Memo's mentor from Washington? Like every once in a while, he would come down with his wife in their like little camper. Uh, I don't remember if his name was Hugh or if that's wrong.
Hugh Jackman? No.
Jackson.
He does sound familiar.
Yeah, he was like, God, I cannot for the life of me remember his name though.
And they would come down from Washington.
Mm-hmm. And Memo was always talking about him. This is the guy who.
Did they have a bunch of kids?
No,
No.
they're older couples.
Yeah, he
so,
had gray hair.
yeah, he was an older
Oh,
guy.
you recognize him too, Mikey?
Well, I remember him. I can't really remember his face, but I do remember. I think he was the one that got Memo into the Multnomah Bible College. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So he was this. I'm so curious about that now, like just thinking about it. So,
Do you think that he attended Multnomah Bible College himself?
I think he attended it or he was a professor there, one of the two.
Okay.
I can't remember.
I think he was a professor.
Yeah, I think he was a professor there.
Okay.
He was like Memo's mentor, I think.
I can find it. Don't worry.
Have they reached back out to you?
Who?
Angela?
Who reached out to me?
Have they reached back out to you, the college?
Not that college, but I did have the School of Film up in Washington reach out to me because I sent a correspondence seeing if they wanted to hear about the story, maybe a documentary. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
But no, not yet. And I got a couple emails from that bounce back because they're in this merger right now. They're being bought out by Jesuit. So I have to do some more digging to find some better emails. But it would be interesting to hear their take and, see what they're implementing. How are they trying to prevent things like this from happening with future alumni that graduate from the Bible college, to people that take their degree and use it to manipulate and control and deceive and brainwash and abuse.
I think at that point it's too late. It has to be something that they do while they're still in school.
That's what I'm saying. What are they doing to educate against these kind of behaviors?
Yeah. It would be nice if there was some sort of system for that. But
yeah.
I remember Niko always got it really bad though. He was always the joking point and the bear to poke.
Yeah, he was the black sheep. Everyone picked on him.
Memo
pull down his pants.
Memo would give him crap, and yet he would joke with him, acting like he was just. He would always give him crap, but then he would be over there. Oh, Niko, he'd be
pretend like he was his buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he appreciated him, but at the same time, he would do the exact opposite. It's kind of like when I got the job. Memo told me, "Oh, you're gonna go to hell. You're just gonna be a hillbilly with AIDS. You're gonna be homeless, hillbilly with AIDS or whatever, and this and that. You're going to hell."
He would say horrible things.
And he tried to kick me out one time. Or I was like, screw this, I'm leaving. I went and grabbed all my clothes and started walking down the long driveway with all my clothes on the hangers. They weren't even in bags.
What was his reaction?
I don't remember. But I remember Paul and Tim were laughing. I thought it was great.
That's hilarious. Wow. So how did they get you to move to Hawaii with them? It was just when you were really involved and you really thought that was the way to heaven?
Well, remember it was after my hard year where
Your accident?
I had my accident. I had like 3 accidents. I got jumped, and then 3 months later, I got in a bike accident, and 3 months
Oh my
later, I
God.
got jumped, and then 3 months later, I got into my car accident. It's like all in threes in the year of '99, my
Oh my
graduation.
gosh. That's
And
horrible.
I had spent a month in the hospital. I was in a coma for 3 or 4 days, and they wouldn't let me leave Rio, Rehabilitation Institute of Oregon, until uh, someone was willing to uh, take responsibility for me 24/7
Okay.
responsibility for me. So you and Luis were the ones that did that. So I came and stayed at the King's house with you guys down in the basement because they told me because of my head trauma, I got brain damage. The back part of my brain got killed in the accident. So they told
Damn.
me I split the skull from ear to ear in the back.
Yeah, I remember your
Uh,
eyeball just like hanging out, or that
it was
happened
all
after.
cross-eyed. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's still semi cross-eyed, but it's
And you
kind of
couldn't like sneeze
corrected.
or anything, or your eyeball would fall out.
Well, then the sneezing or laughing, I had broken ribs, so
Oh my gosh.
broken or fractured ribs. So anytime I coughed, sneezed, laughed, anything, it's in a
So
lot of
that's
pain.
how it was a lot. Yeah, that was a really bad accident. And so that is how you got back into the house to actually like live this time instead of just visit.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I was living there because you
And how
guys
old were
had.
you? You were 18, 19?
I was 18.
18. Okay.
Yeah, because I got held back in kindergarten, so I graduated when I was 18. But I they told me I had to.
Wait,
They recommended I should wear a helmet
Oh
for the
boy.
rest of my life because I had so much head trauma just in that
Oh
one
my
year.
God.
The doctors were like, "Yeah, you really should never hit your head ever again because you could die.
Oh my gosh.
You're lucky you didn't die already or whatever." But that was after I was going through um, the PT, after the accident. The doctors told me I could collect unemployment, or not unemployment, but social
Disability.
disability.
disability for the rest of my life. 100% disability. I never did that. But after my physical therapy stuff was done, I got invited to Hawaii for one of the conferences in the springtime, or early spring, or whatever it was. And that was when I went. I went for 2 weeks, and I just never came back.
Okay, so you didn't go with them when they moved on, with the boats or the ships or whatever and moved the cars and stuff like that. Not the
No,
initial. Okay.
I went after they were already established for like
Okay.
a year or something like that.
Okay. And at some point you were living back with mom, right? In between all of this, like through some high school time.
Yeah, that was when I started getting. It was after the split up. That's the sort of dark time that I was going through,
Okay.
where
Okay.
I was listening to rap, so I was
Well, and
carnal.
when you probably were having a lot of problems with Richard too, right? I
Oh
mean, I would
yeah,
imagine.
I
Yeah.
I had problems with him all throughout, uh,
Yeah.
but
I just remember.
that
Sorry.
was when I ended up getting in trouble. I got a Class C felony after they went to
Oh,
Hawaii for modifying fireworks. That's
Oh,
was that
considered.
after
It's
we
cons-
went to Hawaii?
Yeah, that was after you guys went to Hawaii.
Wow.
Okay.
Modifying fireworks is considered bomb making.
Michael,
Yeah, so
you didn't blow off
Don't
any
do
fingers,
that.
did you?
no, but I ended up getting probation,
Okay.
and then I quickly got released after that happened. They sent me to stay with you guys for a while up in the upper room of the king's house.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
You
that
know,
wouldn't.
the room
Where
next to where Nacho, the room,
Yeah.
the Bible study room up there.
Yeah.
I stayed up there, but uh, the night before I got off school for Christmas break, Luis kicked me out because he caught me smoking the weed and blowing it out the window.
Oh. Oh
So I got
boy.
You
that
never
was
really were subtle with that.
Jeez. Why don't you come and get me? I probably needed some too.
but yeah, no, that's when I got kicked out, and so I wasn't staying with mom, wasn't staying with you guys. I ended up going to some gang member's house or
Oh my
apartment
gosh. That's horrible.
that was friends with um the cousins from Richard's side. One of them was dating I can't even remember her name right now, but
One of our sisters.
the female uh niece of Richard.
Okay. Okay.
I can't remember what her name is, but
Wow.
yeah, she was dating one of them,
Oh
and
jeez.
the rest of the nephews were friends, and Richard's brother was friends with them.
The brother that's in jail for murder.
In prison, yeah.
Gang related
But
murder.
yeah, they were bangers.
Yeah.
I think they were Crips, and they had their uh, guns on their
And
coffee table and coke on the
their
coffee
drugs.
table.
Yep.
Yep,
Drugs in the back pocket.
and baseball bat by the front door.
Front door.
I remember them telling me when I went there that night, because I called them and they told me, "Oh yeah, come over. We'll order some pizza. You can come over and stay the night." And when I got there, they told me, "Hey, if the feds or someone comes kicking down the door, the gun's right there." I remember them telling me that. But
Oh my gosh.
they got me really high. We drank that night, and then ended up staying up way too late. I was like, "Oh, I got to go to school in like 4 hours or whatever." So they told me, "Oh, there's going to be something on the coffee table when you wake up, and there's a pile of coke there."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Wow.
I remember when
People just giving coke away. Geez.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, uh, when I was going to Alpha High School then, uh, and had became good friends with the counselor there. He was a really nice guy. I can't remember what his name is, but he's a really cool guy.
Uh-huh.
I went into his office and I told him, "Oh yeah, I got kicked out last night, smoking weed," and uh, he told me, "Oh, it's almost time to go to class, but before you go, leave your jacket in my office, and at the end of the day, come get it." And I was like, "Why?" It was my Dodgers jacket. He was like, "Because it reeks. It reeks of wacky tobacco."
Oh.
He didn't want me to get in trouble, so
Oh no. Wow. That's crazy. crazy.
But after that, I ended up staying with one of the kids that went to that school. That was a friend of mine. His dad, his mom said I
Okay.
could stay there with them. So that's where I stayed until right before, until I got my bike accident. After my BMX accident, when I busted
Oh
all
my
my
gosh.
upper front teeth out,
Oh my gosh.
uh, I kind of lost my job that I was working with the dad. He was a cook. He was training me to be a cook as
Okay.
well. So because I was out, my whole right side of my body was all road rashed up and my teeth were busted out. Uh,
Oh my
I
gosh.
I lost that job and I ended up moving out of there. So I was just staying in a house that was for sale for a long time from some of the friends in the neighborhood.
Oh wow.
It was one of their mom's place.
Okay.
And I
That's
was staying
nice.
there after that. And that was when I got jumped. Um, I helped out one of the kids, uh, the son of the lady that owned the house. He ended up getting busted for curfew violation at a rave.
Oh.
He was selling acid or something. So, in order not to get busted with it, he took
Wow.
it all. And then he started tripping when
Oh.
they were taking him to the
Oh my
station
gosh.
for his parents to come pick him up. I think it took like 20 plus hits of acid or whatever.
Oh no.
So, but he ended up breaking out of the rehab facility, and I was at well, it was like a couple days later. I was at labor ready early one morning, waiting to get a day job. You had to get there super early if you actually wanted to get one of the jobs. I was waiting and I saw him run across the street. So I left labor ready and I went and hooked up with him and I helped him out for the weekend.
Wow.
And then the Sunday when I was going back to the house, we had partied it up, that weekend. We had stayed at one of his girlfriend's apartments. Uh, I think we went to raves or whatever.
Okay.
But when I went back to the place where I was laying my head, which was close by the labor ready place, they ended up jumping me
Oh no.
because I helped them out. The
Oh
mom
wow.
told the mom told him that unless uh, he beat me up, he would have. If he didn't beat me up, he would have to go back to rehab.
Oh,
And one of
that's
the
good.
other kids that was shagging his sister, I think he was an adult already. He was shagging his sister, and um, she told him unless he beat me up with her son, um, he couldn't be with her daughter.
Okay.
And so
This is
there was like two carfuls of people, a van and one of the other cars of some of the friends.
oh
And the
my
mom was
gosh.
in the driver's seat of the van and they watched while I got jumped.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy. Wow.
But after that, I moved after I got jumped, I ended up moving back to Scappoose.
Okay, with your
And
dad?
I stayed with my dad for one night.
Oh.
Or maybe I didn't even stay that night. I can't remember. My dad told me that I couldn't smoke weed or cigarettes in the house. So either I left that night, I called up my childhood best friend uh, and asked him if I could stay with him.
Okay.
ended up coming pick me up, and I ended up staying with him. And he got me a
Interesting.
job at McDonald's, and his mom helped me get my license, and I was buying his Chevy Love, and that's what I got in my accident.
Oh, jeez. A lot
Chevy
of bad
Love.
stuff happened to you that year. Jeez.
Yeah,
Wow.
that
That's crazy.
that was a eventful year.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like
it.
it. Well, I think we might be at a good point to take a break. So we'll just take a break. Buck will he'll put it on pause or whatever. But we will be back, everyone, in a little bit with some more of the story with Michael and
We'll be back
his
next
time.
week. We're not taking a break. We're coming back next week, Angela.
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
Yeah. Next week. Sorry, my brain is tired. It's been a long week.
Girl,
But
it's only Tuesday.
I know. But yeah, if anyone has any questions from what they've heard so far with Michael's testimony, feel free to email us at squirrelbrainstories@gmail.com. Follow us on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify. Just search up Squirrel Brain Stories and you'll find us.
Yes, you will. And you said squirrelbrainstories@gmail.com if you have questions, comments, concerns, stories. We'll read your story. I want to read stories.
Yes, I know.
Send me
too.
things that I can read.
Me too. Okay, we will see you guys next time. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.